Hi everybody, I'm back once again in the car. I am sitting in a parking lot here. I'm in a park, and in St. Louis it's nice and fall out, so we actually have trees that change colors, unlike California where it's just crispy, as my daughter likes to call it. It's crispy. Yeah, the temperature's kind of nice. It's about 72 or so, something like that. Pretty good. Anyway, but I've been sitting here and I'm about to call it a day, and I thought I'd share with you something that you probably won't get in very many Uber videos, which is I've seen a lot of them on YouTube of people just breathlessly saying how they're making 30 bucks an hour, or, even more, and making tons of money driving for Uber and this sort of thing. And I think that's kind of bullshit. Uh, why? Because I'm doing this experiment myself. This is me. This is St. Louis. It's not a huge market at all. It's still a new market for Uber. And granted, St. Louis is struggling with the taxi commission and the things that I covered in my other videos. But the demand's just not as high here to warrant any sort of high hourly rate for a driver. There's an awful lot of drivers out there too, so in a lot of areas it's saturated. And if you look at some of the other tip videos and things for Uber, they say, you can either go fish in a pond that has a lot of people fishing in it, and yeah, you have a chance of catching a fish, but another thing is to go where the fishermen aren't. And my strategy has been, okay, find a place that's got a lot of cars parked, hovering around it, and then find another place that's got a lot of cars hovering around it, and guess where I'm going to go? Right here, right in the middle. That way, I will catch a fringe of some of this, but if I'm right in the middle of this little glut of cars here, uh, you're not going to get much business. And in fact, a lot of the areas in St. Louis in particular that have a high concentration of cars around them, the rides just aren't worth it. They're these $5 take me from here to 4 blocks away type of rides. And it's a lot of start and stop and gas mileage and wear and tear on your car for not enough money to justify that. And there's also not enough frequency of those $5 rides because of the saturation in that area. So you might get one once or twice. Uh, okay, I'm back. Uber just chimed in with a little alert asking if I'd like to stay online, and I said, I'm making a video about that. What are you going to do? So I'm back. Anyway, the point being is, my strategy of kind of being this fringe collector has worked in the past. It's done well in the past. I've made, upwards of $150 a day in some cases. But the past few days, by past few, I mean like the past 3 or 4 days in St. Louis, it has been dead. There's nothing going on. And, one of the problems is Uber doesn't do any marketing in St. Louis. It's not technically an active, well, it is an active market technically, but it's not, in terms of a marketing priority for them, they're not really marketing it. They look to us, the drivers, to do some marketing, and I went and got some of these cards printed up. I also have, these videos that I'm putting out, and on that lower third, if you want to get a ride on Uber, if it's your first time, go ahead and use that code right there and get a ride on me for your first ride. But I also print these cards up, and when I drop people off at hotels, for example, and or pick them up at hotels, and the person that's what do they call it, the bellboy or whatever it is, I don't know if that's the correct term, but the person who does the luggage, they'll come out and either grab the luggage, put it on a cart or something like that. I'll hand them a stack of these cards and say, hey, I'd appreciate it if you handed these out. If someone needs a ride on Uber or whatever and you can't find a cab, do this. And they're really cool about it. They'll do that. But that's the extent of the marketing. I have yet to have one of these codes renewed or redeemed. So maybe you could be the first, and hopefully you are. But that said, the point of this video is to kind of know when enough is enough. And right now, it's dead. I mean, it just is past 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it is dead as a doornail out there. There's not many rides. Here's my ride log for the day. I will post this up to the side, one of these sides. Ride log, take a look, and I'll read it off to you. I started this morning at 10:15, and I waited until 11:20 for my first ride request. My first ride request, as you can see, was like 20 minutes. It wasn't that much at all, and it was a quick ride to the airport. Went from the airport into Clayton, which is, kind of one of those, areas where there's a lot of buzz. So I went into Clayton, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited. I was like, golly, okay. Finally got a bite at 12:36, and did a quick ride, 12:36 to 102, and this ride was, all of $8, $10, something like that. And since 102 until now, and now is that, from 102 until now, I have been sitting in a parking lot. So this parking lot, it happens to be in a park, so it's kind of nice. I was in another parking lot for about 30 minutes just before this one, so I decided to move locations, thinking, okay, maybe this location is just dead. So I moved to another location, and now I'm sitting in another parking lot. And at this point, having worked from 10:15 in the morning until, roughly 2:15 or so in the afternoon, and have had only 2 rides, I'm going to call it a day. And why am I doing that? Well, the reason I'm calling it a day, and I will bring up another illustration, is my little spreadsheet calculator, is I'm not going to work for below minimum wage for this job. It's not worth my time, and it's certainly a waste of time to do that. Also, I'm not going to drive at night. My eyesight is not so hot at night, so I'd rather, if I'm nervous driving myself around at night, I'm certainly not going to have somebody in the back of my car counting on me to get them someplace safely. So nighttime driving I won't do. Also, I have no real desire to drive drunks around, so I'm not going to go hang out downtown around the clubs and stuff like that. So yeah, Uber would tell you, or any other Uber driver would say, well, that's why you're not making any money, is you're not picking up the drunk people. And it's like, well, if that's what it takes to keep someone from puking in my car, then so be it. I will take the airport crowd and people that need to get to a restaurant or something like that, but I'm not going to go around looking for the barflies. But the point of this video is to know when to quit for the day. And I say for the day, I'm not quitting entirely, but I'm gonna put a pin in this day and say, you know what, it's just not profitable enough at this time for me to be driving. And I've got enough data in this notebook. Remember, I told you to keep this notebook handy because you'll start learning the patterns. I've got enough data to realize that there is a pattern in this market. Your market may vary, but you won't know unless you track the data. But have enough data to say, you know what, there's a dead zone. And it's from this time to this time, these days of the week, and I'm not going to drive in the dead zone. There's another zone that picks up. In St. Louis, it does pick up around 3:30 or 4, and sort of through rush hour, it starts to pick up, and those are kind of airport runs and things like that. So maybe people that flew in for a morning meeting, and now they're trying to hit the airport to get back to wherever they came from, that's the time when those rides start to pick up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log off, I'll take a break, and I'll get on later on tonight and see if I have any better luck. But this is why you keep the notebook, folks, so that you can know when to quit and have a good reason for doing so, have good justification for doing so. Anyway, that's my video for today. Hope you enjoy it. If you like it, thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, that kind of thing. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. So send me an email, and we'll see you out on the road somewhere. Take care. Bye-bye.